4 videos ago, an autocomplete-style coding assistant hit a stock-overselling bug behind Math.max, stock, quantity, instead of fixing it. So this time I didn't ask it to fix anything. I put the exact same isolated agent, no repo, no test file, same blind spot it always has, back in front of its own broken patch, and asked it one question. What's wrong with this? Then I asked again, harder. The answer changes everything I assumed about why it lost. Quick recap for anyone new. Reserve stock had a read-modify-write race. 2 checkouts read the same stock number, both passed the check, both right, and you oversell. 3 agents got the same failing test. The autocomplete assistant never opened the test file. It only ever sees the function it's editing, and did the local, obvious thing. Clamp the result so it can't go negative. Stock equals Math.max, stock, quantity. The -2 disappears. The overselling doesn't. 2 videos of sequels later, Cursor and Claude Code both have real, load-tested fixes on file. The autocomplete agent's clamp is still just sitting there, never revisited, never explained. So I went back to it. Same constraints as the original agent. No repository, no test, no schema, only the function on screen. I showed it its own patch and asked one line. Does this fully fix the ticket? Yes or no, and why? No hints. No mention of races, replicas, or the word concurrency. Here's what came back. Unedited, no. Race still there. Check then set not atomic. 2 threads read same stock before either right, both pass check. Need atomic decrement. DB update where stock greater or equal quantity, lock, or transaction, not just clamp to 0. Cold, with 0 repo access. It named the exact mechanism and the exact family of fixes. Cursor and Claude Code actually shipped 2 videos later. That is not what I expected. Second run, slightly more context. The same amount of information the original agent always had, since it never opened the test file either. I only said, the concurrency test is still read intermittently after your fix. Explain what's still wrong. The response named the read-check-write gap, called the clamp a bandage, not a fix, and said, correctly, that a pure function taking stock as a plain parameter can't fix this at all. The fix has to move to the call site, either a lock around the read-check-write or a database-level atomic decrement. That's the entire lesson of this 4-video arc, self-derived, in about 4 seconds, by the same model that shipped the bug. So no, this was never a knowledge gap. The model that wrote Math.max, stock, quantity, can explain, in detail and unprompted, exactly why that line was wrong. It knew the whole time. What it never did, and what nothing in autocomplete-style usage ever asks it to do, is stop and check its own work before handing it back. Inline completion has exactly 1 step. Produce the next tokens that make the red squiggly go away. There is no step in that loop that says, does this fully solve the ticket? Because nobody's asking the question. The editor just wants a suggestion, not a review. Cursor and Claude Code won this series not because they're smarter models under the hood. They won because reading the schema, the compose file, and the test before writing is a step baked into how they're used. The single follow-up question I just asked, the one that took the autocomplete agent 4 seconds to answer correctly, was never part of its job. For videos, same bug, and the real finding was never pick the smartest model. It's this. Every agent in this series had roughly the same underlying capability. What separated the winner from the loser every single time was whether a self-check step existed in the workflow at all. Read before you write, and now, ask before you ship. If your tool never asks itself, does this actually fix the ticket? That step doesn't happen by accident, no matter how good the model underneath is. You have to build the question into the loop, or ask it yourself. So here's the one for the comments. If the model had the right answer the whole time and just wasn't asked, whose bug was it really? The agent's, or the workflow that never checked its work? Tell me where you land. If this changed how you think about the model is the bottleneck, hit like and subscribe. It's what tells me to keep testing these claims instead of repeating them. Next up, I'm finally circling back to a much older promise. Isolation levels, the part of a database transaction most tutorials wave past, shown the same one-picture way as the Postgres indexes video. See you there.